Yeah, might as well, since we never have this before.
CGo is the ability to call C function from Go.
Yeah, you can stand there.
And the traditional way to do that is in your Go code, you use the, you do something like this. Oh, there. So you have C code, and in your Go code, at the top, you add some C magic, import C, and the Go interpreter, the Go compiler will behave slightly differently, and it will call GCC when you need, and it will build this binary that is a mix of the Go runtime and all the wiring to whatever library you need. And that used to be very, very complicated until I found this thing. It's a GitHub repo. It's made by a guy in Germany, and he created a new way to build the bindings of Qt with Go. Because Qt is quite big, there's a lot of package and function. Just by building this on a Mac, you need at least 8 GB of memory. It creates like large 5 MB Go file that need to be parsed and so on. It's very tough. And use the feature of Go to like using Yak or other kind of preprocessor to generate, it uses Go generate to create Go file from from the C++ headers and the libraries, and it's a mix of Go and C++. And it comes with there are some comments that build itself and let developers to build user interface application with Go. So this is the magic part, and I'll show you a sample of how to. Oh wait, first I need to explain two little things. I explained before there CGO and there's Go. When you have something in the realm of C, it's a separate runtime. So if you have an integer in C, it's not the same integer as Go. So when you, in Go, you have the garbage collector that take care of free your memory when you don't need to use it anymore. In C++, there's not. So if you create something in here and you use it here, you're still responsible to free that resource. And the types are different. You always need to convert from one side to the others. And there's a cost for that. But if you have a large Go code base, or you just enjoy working with Go, and you want to create a user interface for your application, it's the cost to that conversion from one side to the other is not that heavy compared to write something completely from scratch elsewhere, like in C++ or whatever language. And okay, so as a use case to show you how easy and great and fun it is to write Qt code from Go, I create something this weekend. Where is it? Where are you? It's a simple app in Go. I only use Qt, QML. QML is a markup language on top of Qt. It's a bit of JavaScript and their own DSL, but it's not C++. So I wrote this application, I'll show later what it is, in just Go and a little bit of JavaScript, maybe 5 lines of JavaScript. And this app is something we needed for ourselves. We are concerned with privacy, and we wanted to like when I'm doing, I'm outside, she wants to see where I am on the map. And I did not want to use Google Maps, like history tracking. So we built this for just this purpose. It's not very secure. The server side is no authentication, no encryption, just to show you this. And but beside that, it's working out. So first, okay, back here. So let's replace that with Qt as a C++. So when you work with just Qt and Go, in between, you have to include the .h file from C++ and perform the C++ kind of call, like function and this kind of integer and this kind of string, and I expect this kind of things to be back to me. But the binding provide you all the link in between with Go. But there's something else here. It's QML. So as I said, QML is the markup language. It's JavaScript and purple. Okay. And this is very easy. It's if you write something pure C++ Qt low level syntax, it's kind of easy to create interface, but it's not very enjoyable. It's tough. If you use QML, then it becomes very fun. A sample of QML. Okay. So this is an example of QML. Application, size, some property. Here I'm using a map, circle, and so on. So if you need to write any user interface, skip the C++ low-level Qt part, go straight to QML. This can be quite fun. So if I go back here, so what if you have an application that from Go you want to move this widget or change this value? Let's say you have a button, you want to change the text of a button. You need to go here and says, do this. And sometimes you need the other way around. From QML, you want to execute some piece of logic from Go. To do that, it's also the same concept for if you just use C++ and QML, you need some kind of bridge. It's called bridge or controller. It's how can I call it? Some of you know Django. I don't know, some of you are Python developer. It's like you create a context, a class, in your template you can call that piece of logic. And I'll show you and you will understand. So from here, QML call the bridge, which will call the Go code. And the bridge itself is also a piece of Go code. If I go back here, controller, and the main. I guess you all know a little bit of Go, right? You can read that? So import Qt. This I'll cover that later. Import the controller and initialize here. Where is it? Okay, the controller. And here you, in the Qt, you set context property Golang as the instance of the controller. So this Go function, this Go structure, can be called straight from QML if I use this string. So Golang dot function. I'm going to call this Go function. And there's another way around, but it's more complicated.
This quite similar to a Qt application, isn't it? It's kind of like
It's using
It
the
is
same,
pretty.
straight same,
it's like a mapping of the API or something.
there's a mapping one-to-one, basically. The guy adds some queue once in a while, but when I look at the code, it's, oh yeah, as in C++, there's a polymorphism. So when you call this function, you can change the parameters. You don't have that in Go. So you just append a number. So when there's this signature for a function, it's 1, the other one is 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. Okay. So this is the controller. So a controller must be of type, well, you must, the Bluetooth. Okay. It must have this, how can you call it? Embed into the struct a type core Q object. And this is typical for, specific for this wrapper, because as I said before, it's been built with Go generator, and there's tools that create code from those signature. So it uses those struct tag to generate the C++ code and Go code to match those functions. So in Qt, this is private stuff. It's not Qt specific. So here, in QML, there's two ways: from QML to the Go or to C++, and the other way around. When it's the other way around, it's a signal. The other, from QML to Go, it's a slot. So here, okay. So this is a function that from Go, if I call peer update signal, and I pass peer ID and the coordinate, this is a Qt type, that code will be executed, and this is an error. The other way around, from QML, if I execute update position, peer list, set peer ID with those parameters, is going to create, call the Go code. Below is the implementation, but here I'll go there to show you how that really works. Where is it? The controller. Okay, this is not good because the code has been no. I'll put it there. Why? Okay, yeah, okay. So here, if you're familiar with IntelliJ, so the red is an error. So here, the error things here, you see, it's red because it can't find the reference to that function. And if I go here, peer update, and okay, these are other codes. So when you install the binding, it gives you 3 commands: Qt mock, which match the mock function, the mock command line from Qt SDK, Qt RRC, and another one that is not part of Qt SDK, Qt deploy. I'll show all that. So first, Qt mock. If you work with Qt and C++, mock is to create C++ code from some templates. I don't have much experience, but in Go, if I run that, it read the Go code, it parse this thing. If this structure is that type, then it parse this and it create for me all the functions that are required to. So here, it created these files for different targets. This C++ to link the C++ to Go, and the goal to link the other way around. Okay, here. Right. This is generated code. So it's not great to look at. I never really dig into it. And the other way around. So it created all the function, all the signature, all the boring part when you want to work with Qt. And now that the Go file, mock.go have been created, IntelliJ now find reference to error. So now if I click here, I mean this code do the calls to Qt. So here.
Is it meant to be edited, the generated files?
No.
Okay.
No. In the build process, because I have way more complex applications elsewhere, and in the build process, these files are not tracked. That's why they're in gray. It's
I
not
see.
tracked by Git. So these files must be built, generated for a specific version of Qt and specific targets. So if I go here, back to the main, and we look this again. So here, the controller, there's a new function that is in the mock.go, new controller. It just add the new prefix to this function, to the struct name. Oh, in my case, I added some logic specific for my use case. So init is to, because I want to set this value and this other value and so on. I'll cover that later. So I create my instance, pass it here. If I go back to QML, so golang.peerlist. That's the logic is that simple. It's in the details that get very more complicated. So yeah. So here I said Golang string point to that piece of Go code, and when you start, just load map.qml. Oh, okay. There's multiple ways to initialize a Qt app. There's so many of them, it's quite confusing. But you can start where you don't need to create the application here. I won't go very deep in the QML part, but I'll just try to explain a little bit what you can see. So it's all in this kind of format. Type, open bracket, specify a bunch of properties, and embed what you expect like the child of that object to be. And when I first look at this, it looked like, oh my god, this is so complicated, but in fact it's quite easy to read. So you can create your own type. You just create a QML file with a name, and this is where you recycle existing widgets to create more complicated widget. Like here, I wanted to use the list view to be reused in different places, and here I just, where is it? This view, okay? Somewhere. Oh? Oh yeah, here. So all these, when you work in QML, all these things are private. It's better this one. So here, like this property and this other thing, it's all private. You don't have to be concerned with collision of IDs. So here, okay, I reuse the same IDs, but I could have called it like XXX. And this is just overwritten when it's initialized. It looks like that. The tough part is that, let's say I want to know grid layout. So the documentation is C++. It's generated from C++. So you have to look here, okay, yeah, there's some of that. But then you go to more C++ kind of thing, like real. There's no real type in Go. The binding give you these, but if you match documentation with actual code, it can be quite confusing. So controller, oh yeah. So in this application, what it does, there's a server running somewhere that the client send coordinate. I'm X and I'm this latitude and this longitude, and other can take those position and do whatever they want. In this case, I'm rendering those as two circles on the map. So I have a map. The first circle is the position of the current device in green. The circle is this radius, this line size, and there's another circle in red that match the position of a peer I want to show on the map. So this is a button to see the list of peer I can track. This is a button to just center the map to the position of myself. And this other button is to change the position to the other peer I want to track. So here, this is the list of peers. Oh no, this is something that show at the beginning.
Did you have to write all this, or is it generated
She
somewhere?
did it.
Oh, okay.
I asked her, I need this and that, and she. Because I'm not very good at QML. I understand, but I struggle with it. What is that?
For a responsive.
Oh yeah, for responsive. Yeah, position source. Qt brings some surprising feature. It support GPS, it support NFC, it support camera, it support lots of hardware related stuff. So this thing get the position from the either GeoIP or the GPS in your device. So this is my position source. There's some option I can say, oh, I want to use this GPS device, but I do not really want to handle that. GPS, oh yeah, here, connections, target. Well, here in the controller, peer update, error are signals, and this is where I link those two signals into QML event. So when there's an error, I just console log that error string, and if there's a peer update,
I brought food for myself.
so if there's a peer update, I do some other stuff. I'll go back to the code, QML code later after I run the application. So,
Wait.
so to
I don't think we're more.
no,
I'll move one more.
so to build an application, there's many ways. Oh yeah. The guy who, the author of the bindings, maintained some Docker image to build using Qt deploy to Android, Windows, cross-build to Windows, Linux, and to build for iOS and OS X, you have to do it on a Mac because you can't distribute the SDK and all that. So for legal reason, you can only use it from here. So deploy Linux.
Does it mean that if you use a Docker image, you don't have to install the entire Qt SDK?
Yeah. Just just this thing. So you just install Qt deploy. It will call Docker for you.
Wow. Okay.
And yeah, beside for OS X and iOS, it's working. It's great. I have Android and SDK installed here, but now I slowly switching to use the Docker image because the guy rebuild it like every day. He fixes lots of stuff all the time. Going back here, that's the app.
Oops. I missed that.
Transport connection because I installed the server somewhere. DNS again. Huh?
The server is down.
No, it says connection refused.
Yeah, that's right.
Is there any port block?
Sounds that way.
No. And SSH is definitely not one.
And it's not using port 22. Ah! Okay, DNS mask again.
QRDNS. Oh, mask.
Does anyone see a remote control for air conditioning there somewhere?
See.
Maybe it's switch on the wall, isn't it?
That's on now, right? Yeah.
No.
Hold on.
Looks like it's controlled by you haven't got this figured out yet, have you?
We never use it.
Yeah, not here that often.
I reckon it's a Wi-Fi box underneath.
Okay,
Just stuck it there.
so now I started my little server site here. This thing just get connection from peers, what is their position, that's it. So here I'll call it Linux desktop. So it's quite fancy for a few lines of QML. So there's only one peer. I can track, but it's myself. Position here don't work because there's no other peers. So this is the map itself.
How does it get your position?
Oh,
Based on your IP.
I don't know. From Linux, there's no GPS into this, so it's okay. It's really not here. I guess
Yeah,
it just uses
fun.
GeoIP.
Yeah.
That is the center of Kuala Lumpur.
Just, okay, it just moved here.
Oh no, it
It's
was
the
fast.
banks are.
It's getting closer. It's like to the bottom right.
Yeah.
Bottom there. Yeah, that circle there where your mouse
Yeah.
Is it web view? Is that a web view or
No.
It's a-
QML web.
No,
QML.
there's a web view,
web
but no, it's not. It's this map. It's something.
Oh, it's
This
only,
is part of Qt positioning and location package. I just use this plugin, OpenStreetMap, force high definition.
Yep.
Here I use that plugin here, and this is something I didn't know a few hours ago.
downloads the files.
Yeah, it does. And there's plenty of options for caching. Like here, it uses its own. This is all C++. So it uses its own library to pull the files, cache. But from our point of view, from Go, there's 2 points, red and green. The red one is not visible until I track a peer. The boot, wait, where is it? The O button is who I want to track. But here, when I click that button, the whole button, okay, it's here. Okay, when I click it show this. So when I click the button, I, is it this one? Yes, okay. On click, it, I did, okay, I know what I'm doing. Okay, so as, if I turn on this device, it will be probably the same position as the green one. So I created a fake coordinate, a fake peer. CMD, fake peer, fake peer. So this thing just pretend to be somewhere, and it move every 500 milliseconds to top right. Now it sends to the server new position, which are received automatically. There's no polling in the user interface. It's a fake.
Ah, there we go.
Okay.
Okay.
It moves.
So here,
It's getting
it,
away.
me is, well, let's say I totally, oh, whoa. So here, me, X is other guy.
Nice.
So here, when there's a position change, so if I, this thing was had a GPS inside, and I was moving around, let's say in a car, this signal is executed on every change. So in this case, initial position is because I wanted the map to move to myself on startup. So here, when this thing is true, move the center of the map to myself, and then set false to not execute this thing again. And every other time, what it does, it change the my circle, the green circle, to the position of the GPS, and it call the the bridge function update position to my actual coordinate, which is well,
Does it mean that
update position? Yes.
the application that you're running now has a JavaScript interpreter?
Yes.
Okay.
It's not totally compliant, but it's you don't have to learn anything else new to you to be able to use it. So okay. Here, update position is this function. I need to pass a coordinate of type Qt geo coordinate. So it's native type. So here I get a Qt value. So update position. If I go here, this is how I connect a Go function to the controller. So here I this function expect a function that match what I showed. So here I get the coordinate and I send an update to my server. I use gRPC to push an update to the server, and I say, oh yeah, is the new coordinate for myself. And if I go back here, where is the other guy? Oh, it's far. So how that works is that here there is a peer update. So this is a signal. Where is the controller again? Okay. Update position. No. Okay. Update position. Okay, here. On peer update. peer update is peer ID as a string and the coordinate of that peer ID shown here. So in the map here, you this is kind of hard to understand, but here there's a peer ID that match this variable name. So you can't know for sure what is the variable that are available there unless you see that actually. So it's tough. So here, peer ID. If the peer ID is the peer I selected here, so if is that what I selected, then show the track circle. It's visible. So the track circle is the red one. So now it's visible, and it moved the center of the circle to the new coordinate. So that's why here this guy moved. And I don't have to run any code. I don't have to run like in JavaScript update display or whatever. It just do things automatically for me.
A little
Here.
magic.
Yeah, it's and what's great is in Go. Okay, the server here get this is the fake position generator. This is the server, and the server forward to my local the new position. Wait. Controller. Okay. So when the app started, it asked me, what's your peer ID? What's your name? So here, what I do is I create the gRPC client to the gRPC server, and I create this Go routine that wait for updates. And when there is an update here, it create the Qt coordinate. What's that? Weird space. Okay, I know.
Go from
It's pass. It set the position and called the bridge. Here, peer update. Peer update. No. Oh yes, this one. Yeah. So it called this piece of logic.
Actually, there's a good point here. Since one of the biggest problem, because this is actually JavaScript, is that a lot of people complains is that it's actually single-threaded. If you run all this JavaScript code in under Qt, is it still single-threaded?
Probably yes. I'm pretty sure yes.
And you're running process stuff in Go, so that you don't have the single-threaded issues.
Yeah, that make everything easier to develop for like the server side, client side. It's all running in background in Go, and I just do the display. Where is it? Oh,
Okay.
on its way to China.
So how does it work now with Go? Yeah, do I need to set the max processes?
No.
Or is it automatically?
It's all automatic.
multi-threaded?
These days it's automatic. Yeah.
Okay.
The only Go routine that I explicitly trigger, it's this one. It's the peer update. Everything else is synchronous. Main.
I remember last time using Qt, if you try to be fancy and you just try to do more than one updates, bad things happen. So this would be if it works, it's like interesting way around the single process nature of things, where we had to have some really fancy stuff just to get some background processes running. Awesome.
Oh yeah. So this is
What about
unrelated to Qt. It's the gRPC stuff. You know gRPC? Yes. Okay. For those who don't know, I created a message type peer coordinate. Peer updates for this peer. These are the coordinates. These are the RPC call. Here, controller. So I use the gRPC call gRPC framework. When there's the fake position generator send something to the server, there's some code that forward it to any connected client. So it's very, very clean, it's very simple to work with, it's very nice.
Wait a minute, wait, there's a good point. gRPC can actually block so to wait for updates, or do you have to call peer update all the time?
It's a stream, it's what they call stream. So there's a open socket, it wait for something to happen. When something is there, it's just sends it.
So okay, so it's a better WebSocket than WebSocket since you're using gRPC for streaming data.
So the client side, I wrote no line of code for client side, just consume the generated code. And if I go here, server, so the server that forward is 144 lines and plenty of logging. Here I wanted to learn about Zap. So that's why I've used a little bit of Zap. It's a logging library. So here, list peer, I move. So when there's I get a new movement from a peer, I take it and I forward it to all connected peers. Oh, it's quite clean. Okay.
So by chance, sorry, this is not like a queue system, is it? Not like a publish kind of.
It's basically
I think
implemented
here,
and goes
here
out.
it's not even blocked. Here I create server side. I create a Go routine that update the client, connect to client.
It's a DIY pops up,
So here,
which is really small considering. There's the other question. How big is the binary?
That's what I'm also wondering.
I just erased it. Okay. No, okay. Let's start with that. So now the same code base that just run natively on Linux, I'm building an Android app for it. The Android specifics, like icons, sign the binaries and all that, I did not cover that. You need an Android folder and fill in some details. The doc.
You have to do it yourself anyway. Or if you do it normally, you have to sign it yourself anyway.
Yeah, but like icons, like the startup picture, and I haven't set any of that in this project. Like if you, what is it? You remove it? I wrote that though.
Or you just consume the manifesto.
Oh yes, okay. Internal docs, okay. So this is, you need a folder Android with these files to configure the Android project.
It looks exactly like
So
Cordova.
this actually,
Cordova, you know, the hybrid app. that
it uses
people
a
use
Docker
to-
image
Similar, very similar.
that come with every dependencies to build the Android app. So there's NDK, SDK, and Qt build itself. So I think the image is 4 gigabyte.
Okay.
Yeah, because of QT and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you don't have to install Qt. Installing Qt itself is, that's another story.
You see, here, I have Qt, Windows 64,
Right.
Android 7, okay, it's twice that
Oh,
large. Windows 32 bits, and for Linux I use just what's on my system. But I could skip install Qt and just use a Docker image for that.
Like they have a good
The build is
internet
still
out
running.
But
Take the build.
how do the UI components look?
Using
these days?
Docker take twice more time. I don't know
Just
why.
about to see.
But
It's always
if I
weird
don't
having an
use
iPhone app
Docker,
that
maybe
looked like it was on
30
from Windows
seconds?
3, you know?
One
It looks like
Mac?
it's a Qt. You can tell Qt apps. Like, Telegram on Mac is Qt, Roland.
It's been 3 minutes.
Telegram on.
Because here it's 10, 8, 10 is
Oh, okay.
right, so
If you this the
And
environment
then-
structure,
I haven't used Qt for a long time.
so one of the dependencies is
Apologies, I think I have to
Not
make a
since I
move
got
first.
the new Mac.
Yeah.
Anyway,
This
Eric,
is actually Qt.
thanks for hosting this.
Yeah, no problem.
You can tell.
Hope to see you
That's
again
a
next
good
time.
I've done a good job of it, haven't I?
So let me know in
Telegram messages.
the group where
Telegram
it is on
messages.
this
You can check
in a
the
month.
GitHub for this one. All of
the
this,
server is not.
it is actually Qt. So it's not like the old Qt.
Everything
It's pretty good.
Everything.
Hey, I'm this one.
Okay, see.
Wonderful, yeah, garbage on.
Thanks for coming.
Oh, pizza, yes,
Anyone wants anything?
Techman. Money tech from
Actually, there's a good point is that we used to be able to deploy all these things for Android using Cordova. The APK that we built was huge.
alright, huge. Here,
It's quite big.
40
How big is
14
big?
megabytes.
20 something.
20 something max, right?
Yeah.
So
In this case, it's 14.
it's a little bit smaller, but it's still quite big.
But there's
14.
all the
Not bad.
library for Qt. So here,
Will definitely be more responsive than Cordova.
Sorry guys, do I need a card to go out?
You got a card at the
No,
reception,
press the-
right? When
no,
you're gonna-
Press the phone.
button, yeah.
the-
the Linux binary is 103.
Oh. No, what?
Is there any ways to train it and stuff?
Yeah.
That
I,
is.
there's all the debug symbol there.
Wait, is that statically linked or is it dynamic binary?
Well,
It is still so big. Smaller than Electron apps.
So the binary itself, okay, why it's so big? Okay, there's a copy of all the Qt. Okay. So the binary itself is 7. Only 7. Not that bad.
That is good.
Yeah, but
That is
It's
very-
a lot of
1.8.
libraries, right?
Yeah.
So after strip,
Mm.
okay. So Qt deploy strip it from you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Android already. So here it's the small robot of Android. The binary is called Go, but here just bookmarks. It's another Go app I wrote a few months ago. So I can put different icons and name. But here by default is that. It starts. What's my name? My name is Android. Okay. And then the same, my position, which is, I think it's good this time.
Where does it get the position from?
GPS.
GPS.
Now, here, okay. So if I choose, I track Linux desktop.
the permission for if you use Cordova, the permission
yourself
and
here.
stuff
Yeah,
for,
I should.
for these things.
That's
crazy.
fake.
Every time you review it, you know like to
Permission.
tweak the permission.
Is it?
Yeah, for
I
every
thought it was in
extra
the
upgrade.
manifest. No.
Yeah.
No, Cordova only allows you to do stuff in the manifest like reason version. You're saying
Oh,
you can-
my fake one is in Vietnam right now.
Ask you to bring back some food.
No, I haven't wrote any Android specific code to make it run. I just build, ADB install, that's it. For Mac, can someone give me the adapter? Yes.
This actually answered your question how to do multi-platform apps GUI in Go,
Yeah.
doesn't it? Including Android and iOS.
You just need to learn the scripting.
Well, I did QT years ago.
It's totally different from the QT that we know.
Is it?
Big monster.
USB-C. Okay. For this other one, we have to look straight at the screen. So for the Mac build, I had to install the Xcode and the dependencies
Oh,
here.
okay.
It's Apple. I can't create a Docker image for that.
It's basically it feels very similar to how we used to do those cross-platform apps using the Cordova library, which is the hybrid apps. So on Linux or Windows, you can actually build Android apps. It's just about the same, except that to build iOS apps, you still need Xcode.
No, you just Xcode and an iOS device.
Yeah,
It's
you can
easy to
simulate. Yeah,
deploy.
yeah.
But in Cordova, you don't get native, right? Whereas this one, you can actually get native.
Well, did you realize is that there's a fair bit of it is in
native
JavaScript?
to the extent that it then calls a whole load of libraries, isn't it?
Definitely more
Because you're not
responsive.
connected to Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi.
I think I'll just stop this.